Good morning. In this session, we will see what is meant by load flow studies, why we have to do these load flow studies, and what are the techniques that we are going to use to get the load flow solution. First, let us see what is meant by the term load flow. The load meant for the power. Okay, so in AC system we will have two different types of power, because in AC system we will have a complex power where it is the combination of real as well as the reactive power. So the load flow is meant for the flow of active and reactive power from one bus to the other bus. Now, what is meant by load flow studies? It is a systematic mathematical approach that we are following for the determination of the bus voltages, phase angle, active power and reactive power flows at different branches, generators and the loads. The condition is we are doing all these things under a steady state condition. Okay, we are assuming the system is a steady state condition. What does it mean? Steady state means the generation and the load both are at the balanced condition. So in general, practically if you say, the system is a dynamic system where the load will be keep varying according to the generation also will be varying. But whenever we are doing the load flow studies, we will consider that system is under steady state condition. Then we will try to find out the power flows and the bus voltages and the phase angles. Let us see what is meant by load flow analysis. The load flow analysis is the solution technique of the network under the same condition. Okay, whatever we are doing, we are assuming the system is under steady state condition, and while doing this analysis, we are going to consider certain inequality constraints under which the system operates. Okay, in the later slides, I will explain you what is meant by inequality constraints and which parameters will have these constraints. What is meant by constraints? That is the operating conditions. Okay, each and every equipment will have its own limits, and with respect to the voltages and the phase angles and the power generation as well as power demand. Okay, by considering all these factors, we are going to do the analysis of the network. Why we need to do the load flow analysis? What we are going to gain from this load flow analysis means it is very much required for the planning and designing the future expansion of the power system, and also to determine the best operation of the existing system. What is meant by the future expansion of the power system as well as determining the best operation of the existing system? See, whenever certain area is having a power demand of 10 megawatt, so after 5 years, the demand may be increased from 10 megawatt to 15 megawatt. Okay, then in another 5 years or 10 years span, the demand may increase to the 20 megawatt. Right? So now, whenever we are erecting the system, so we may be design the generating station or the transmission, okay, whatever the lines that we have connected between this generating station to this particular load is capable of carrying up to maybe the 15 megawatt. Suppose if the current demand is 10 megawatt, you have erected a system which can supply the 10 megawatt, but exactly we won't keep this capacity of this plant exactly to the 10 megawatt. We will look into the future demand also, right? So 15 megawatt, okay, 15 megawatt it is capable of supplying. Suppose the demand has increased to the 20 megawatt. So you should first calculate whether my transmission line is capable of supplying that much of power to meet the 20 megawatt. If I increase the demand, what will be the bus voltages and the phase angles? Whether it is capable of carrying that much of amount or not. Okay, if I carry, what are the changes in the other buses, because we will have interconnected system. Okay, so by observing all these things, we will come to know that whether we can able to expand the existing system, or if it is violating the limits means then we have to look into the other options, right? So if you know how much of power is flowing, what are the capacity of these lines, what are the bus voltages to be maintained. So if you know all these things, then only we will come to know that whether we have to expand the existing one or whether we have to go for the new system. Now let us see the next point. It gives the nodal voltages. So as I showed you in the previous diagram, so we are going to find out the nodal voltages, phase angles, and hence the power injection at all the buses and the power flows to the interconnected power channels. We need to find out, is there any violating of these bus voltages and the phase angles. If it is not violating means you can take the extra load and supply. If it is violating means then you have to look for the other possibilities to transmit the power from the generating station to the loads. And also this load flow solution helpful to find out the optimal capacity of the proposed generating stations and the substations and the new lines. So as I told you, if the existing ones are capable of taking up the increase in the load demand and the existing transmission lines are capable of taking the extra loads, we no need to go for the new system. Suppose if we are not able to supply the extra load from the existing system, then we have to propose for a new lines and the new system. Operating constraints. As I told you, we are going to do the analysis of the system by considering certain conditions. So that is called operating constraints. So we are going to operate the system by keeping certain conditions into the consideration. So what are those constraints? Let us see. First one, the power equipment is designed to operate at the fixed voltages with allowable tolerances 5 to 10% of the rated voltage. Voltage magnitudes must satisfy the inequality. So we know that if you consider any bus I, this voltage should be always greater than or equal to the minimum voltage and less than or equal to the maximum voltage. So this is the condition always we need to follow. If you assume the bus voltage as a 1 per unit, generally it will vary between 0.95 to 1.05. The next one is certain of the del P's state variables must satisfy the inequality constraint. The del P means if you take two different nodes P and Q, so each bus will have a certain voltage and the phase angle. The difference between the two phase angles, that is del Q minus del P, should be always less than or equal to the del Q minus del P maximum. Okay. So once you cross this angle, the system may move to the unstable condition. So that is why always the phase angle between the two bus voltages should be less than the maximum phase angle condition. Similarly, if you look at the limitations of the real power generation and reactive power generation, whatever the real power we are generating at a particular bus should be within the limits of PGI minimum and PGI maximum. Similarly, if you take the reactive power generation also should be within the minimum and the maximum limits. So we are not allowed to operate the system so how much we want. So always there will be an upper limit and we will have a lower limit also. So based on these limits we need to operate the system. And we know one more thing, always the power generation should be equal to the power demand plus the losses. So in general we know the power generation at the ith plant will be equal to the power demand plus the losses. Similarly, the QGI should be equal to the power demand QD plus the QL, reactive power loss. So in general, if you take the interconnected system, So we will have a several generator will be taking up the load. So you can take it as a sum of the real powers generated by the various generators will be equal to the total power demand plus the losses. So the power demand also, if you are taking the various loads which are connected at a particular plant, this also you can take it as a sigma I. So these are the another two constraints that we should remember. Now coming to the load flow solution technique, what are the steps that we have to follow whenever we are doing the analysis of these load flow studies? First point is, we need to formulate the network equations that you have seen in the previous classes. I have explained you how to represent that given network into the network model and represent the network equations. The network equations can be represented in terms of the impedance form and the admittance form. So first you need to form the network equations, and the second point is you need to choose a suitable technique that you are going to apply to get the solution of these equations. So the first point is get the network equations, then you should find a proper technique. Okay, you should choose a proper technique to get the solution of the above equations. And we are going to do this load flow solution calculation by taking some of the points as in assumptions. We are going to do the load flow calculations by assuming the system as by taking the following points as an assumption. First one, we are going to assume the system is perfectly under steady state condition. Also, we are considering the system is perfectly under balanced condition, and the loads and the generators are fixed at a particular value. These 3 points are very, very important. Now let us see what are the techniques that we are going to use to get this load flow solution. Here we are using 3 iterative techniques. So the first one is Gauss-Seidel method, second one is Newton-Raphson, and the third one is fast decoupled load flow. So these are the 3 techniques that we are going to use to get the load flow solution. In the later sessions, I will explain you how to do the load flow solution by using the Gauss-Seidel method, Newton-Raphson, as well as fast decoupled load flow under different conditions. So I hope up to this is clear. Thank you.